Friday night,
Da-da-da-da.
Saturday Night Live. Okay. All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Ianthe. I'm the founder of the Onyx Archive, a creative institution that is built on bold perspectives, inspiring change, and living, breathing, and standing in our truths.
And I am Alex, visiting from my channel, Alex the Academic, a channel with the goals of challenging ideas, expanding perspectives, and cultivating a deeper understanding of the world because knowledge is power.
And is. And we have come here today
To shatter the illusions you've been sold.
to, ooh, to make you question the narratives you've been told.
And to fuck shit up.
As we do, as we does every episode. Okay, and like, what
Yes.
episode is this for us? Is this number 5? Are we? Are we
Yes.
5 deep?
Yeah.
We're 5
The
deep,
big
y'all.
five, baby. I'm so proud of us.
We're 5 deep, y'all. That means 5
Yes.
weeks. Come on, just got.
We
I
had
just
a
had to
little
give a little
miniature
celebration.
break in there to get things together. No, yeah, I'm so
We
proud of
did.
us. We need to
We
celebrate.
did. We did. We had a little break.
Yes.
And but this is a big deal. So I feel like we got to celebrate that more, those wins. We got to celebrate that.
Yes. Boop, boop, go
Yeah.
us. So this episode is going to be a little continuation, a little deep bit of a deep dive from last week's episode on the subject of marriage and the Americanization of it. And we started off last week's discussion getting into my early experiences with childhood, being told about the fantasy of marriage, especially through
Right.
a Christian upbringing and like a promise ring. So this week, we're going to start off with the lovely Ianthe giving her story on early introduction to that fantasy and her experiences with the ideas or ideology of
Yeah.
marriage.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Woof. Man, marriage. Well, similar to Alex's upbringing, I was raised Christian, Southern Baptist Christian, Houston, Texas. I went
Oof.
to Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, where the pastor Marcus D. Cosby is my pastor. It's like a little sign in that my pastor from Houston growing up used to say about his pastor. So I feel like I had to pay tribute. It's an
Oh, I
homage
love that.
of sorts,
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, so growing up, I remember my mother was unmarried. She had been with my father. They didn't end up getting married, so she moved from Chicago, and then we went to Minnesota, and then we landed in Houston, Texas when I was around 4. So raised by a single mother, and she didn't really have like many boyfriends. I would say she had one that I remember named Carl, and then maybe like people that she was interested in, but not a lot of people that she brought around. So I didn't see my mother in a relationship with a man growing up. I didn't see that. And then when I did see it with, Carl, I was like, hold on now. That's my mama. She's a single woman. That's it. That's it. Okay.
The
Um,
protectiveness.
she don't know you like that. I don't
Yeah.
care. So I definitely, I had moments when I definitely did not like him because I was like, you're encroaching on my territory. I don't like that. So with my mother, I think I saw her ideals of what type of man or what type of husband that she wanted and she was looking for. And so I knew for myself that I guess this guy needed to be a Christian. He probably was going
Mm.
to be, Black, African American. So I feel like I had like this model, like, but not a solid model, just kind of like a loose model.
Like a
Um,
vague idea or impression.
yeah, it was very loose. I was like, Christian man, all right. So that's
That's
pretty
it.
much
That's all we
it.
got so far.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Um, and then I kind of feel like at a certain point she gave me this book that you and I briefly kind of talked about, and it's called My Knight in Shining Armor. And I think the what is his name? Bishop T.D. Jakes, who's a pastor in Dallas. I think he wrote that book. But yeah, it's about like a Christian man and this is what he'll be like, and da 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 da. So I read
Hmm.
that book and I was like, all right, cool. I guess I got more ammo in the tank about what I'm supposed to be looking for, but I still zero idea. So I think I I don't know that I fantasized about what he would be. I just felt like, all right, well, this is the archetype. This is what he's gonna be. And if you grew up in the church, it was very much so. The man that findeth the woman finds a good thing, right? So I'm like, well, he's gonna find me, so I ain't gotta do
Yeah.
shit.
Hmm.
I
I
was like,
just
I don't
have
gotta
to
look
wait
for
around
nothing.
and keep myself pure,
Right.
and he'll find
Right.
me.
Right. That. I'll just wait, keep myself pure, whatever. He'll find me, whatever. I'm just gonna do me. I did. And I feel like throughout middle school, high school, undergrad, graduate school, like I had different guys that I would have like a crush on.
Mm.
But they did not like me in the same way, even though it was confusing to me because I was like, but you do.
What?
Your energy is telling me yes. Your mouth is saying no. And as a child, I'm confused. Okay.
That's so weird.
Um, so that's how I would feel. I would be like,
Hmm.
you're lying. And I remember one particular guy, my prom day, right? Him and I got real close, real cool. And I remember telling him, I was like, you like me and I like you. And he's like, well, I don't know if I feel like I like you, but I don't know if I like you like, girlfriend type of thing. And I was like, but you do. Like I can feel the
Yeah.
vibes, right? And so a week goes by
Mm.
and he goes, I do like you. Like, and I'm like,
Thanks for cluing in with the rest of us. Like, what?
bruh,
I
like, yeah,
wonder.
you're my what? Like, what?
I just had the thought. I wanted to pose it to you as a question. Like, I wonder, at that age, was your expression of your femininity a little unconventional, like more leaning androgynous yet, or just tomboyish as they called it
No,
back then? You were girly
no,
girlish?
yes, a thousand
Weird.
percent,
Okay, because my thought
thousand
was, what
percent.
if it was he's being weird about it because you're not the typical, Christian leans heavily, as we talked about, into those gender norms. But if you were already girly
Yes,
girl, then maybe it was more of like he sensed something. I don't know.
I know it could be. I don't know, cause I was definitely like, I'll have
That's
to add a
funny.
picture or something, but I was definitely very much into makeup, very much into like having my long hair. I wasn't really tomboy at all. Like I was like, yeah, I feel like I was
Wow.
more so into my femininity and into exploring that. So like it gave girl because I was like, I'm a girl, I give
Yeah.
girl. Like, it wasn't giving
Right.
question marks.
Okay.
But I also was not the type of girl that chased boys. Like I didn't chase men. I wasn't in a lot of
Got
relationships.
it.
Like that just wasn't important to me. So I also kind of feel like it could have also been like I wasn't thirsty. And so I think it also could
That
have been my
that's probably
energy.
it.
My
Yeah.
yeah, my energy was like, I like you, you like me. Like, let's go. Why are we playing these games? And it wasn't like, hey,
Like being
Marcus.
all coy and playing the games that they want to play. So that he can
Yes, and
feel
I
like
was
he's
like, no.
chasing you, like you said.
Yeah. Maybe that's definitely probably what it was. Yeah, because I was just confused. I was like, bruh, every time I look around, here you are. Every time I look to the side, here your eyes are, and I'm like, if you don't like me, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, bro. Like even
No.
at a young
Yeah.
age, I understood like seduction and sensuality. I was like, you like me because you wouldn't be in my face if you didn't, and I wouldn't be in your face if I didn't either. Like, stop playing.
Yeah.
So, so that was kind of like my experience with men. It was like this. I don't know. It was like, okay, we obviously like each other. Let's do something with this. And I was like, it was too kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it had so many extra things that surrounding it that were just very unnecessary. So that just made me feel like, okay, one day I'll meet this guy that it's not all of this hubbub, or he'll be my knight in shiny armor, he'll be a Christian, he'll be A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. Great. All this list of things that I had. And then, as I got to, went through high school, they always tell you, oh, you'll probably meet someone in high school. Okay, that didn't happen. And then they're like, you meet somebody in undergrad. That didn't happen. I didn't meet anybody. I had like a deep romantic connection with crushes, yes, but nobody who was like a permanent fixture. And then grad school happened and the same thing happened. And I remember one of my very, very best friends. We've been friends since I was like 6 and she was like 7. She asked me something that really sparked. I think it sparked my questioning of my own self. And she
Mm.
said, "You know, your mom's not with anybody, and I noticed that
Hmm.
like you aren't either. Um, and like, have you been with anybody? Have you like wanted to be with anybody or anything like that?" And I was like,
Hmm.
huh. Like it was essentially, I felt like she was calling me out in a good way because she was like, I'm
Yeah.
seeing like your mom's like not pursuing anybody or anything, like not for real. And you're kind of doing the same thing. And like, why is that? I was like,
That makes me think of the
damn.
point from last week's episode discussing like how
Hmm.
girls will grow up to allow themselves to be treated by romantic partners. And remember the little quote I shared that parents cannot instill within themselves what they do not practice, or within their children
Oh,
what they cannot practice. So
karakarari.
maybe that was connected, like you
Yeah.
seeing your mom stay single and independent, and sounds like she was happy being that way and taking care of her kids. So like maybe that was subconsciously like, she gave you the book and she talked to you about your knight in shining armor and marriage,
Right.
but what you saw from her was she was good being alone.
Yeah, yeah, like she was good being alone, but also desired partnership, but this partnership never would materialize.
Right.
So I was
So you
like,
kind of
okay, maybe,
emulated the same pattern.
yeah, like, okay, maybe you just gotta keep waiting. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you gotta keep waiting. And that's what I
Mm,
thought because she had been waiting so long for this like perfect person that God was supposed to send her, but then it wasn't happen it hadn't happened. And then I was like, going through my experience, just being like, well, I just wanna live my life and have a great time. And if he shows up, he shows up. But then also, by doing that, I also was actively um not participating in the finding of said person by
mm,
not dating,
gotcha.
by not
Yeah.
contributing to love and contributing to my own, if there was a willingness for marriage, I was not participating in getting there. But again, raised Christian, dating is kind of like not one of those things that you as a Christian do or pursue. You just kind of wait. The guy
Hmm.
comes, you date him, you guys fall in love, you get married, you've got kids, rest is history. But in reality, that doesn't happen to everyone. Like that's not everyone's story, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't usually happen that way. You have to go out there, and you even mentioned that in the episode on gender and gender roles that we did, like participating, and last week
Yeah.
too. Like you have to go out there and participate in
Yeah.
life explore yourself by exploring socially, and that might usually means
Yes.
dating if you're wanting romance in your life.
Yes. Like, how do you want
Yeah,
romance and want to be with someone, but you're not participating in romance and being with
yeah,
someone? So,
exactly.
yeah, no, that's a great point you brought up. Because, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think for me, it took me a while to, like, I think after she activated that question, um, I think that was probably like maybe 2017 or like maybe 2016 or 2015, somewhere around there, like post undergrad. And then I go to graduate school in Monterey, California, and that's where I kind of started deep diving. I had time away from my normal environment to start asking myself
Gotcha.
other questions and really exploring myself more, just exploring my creativity, exploring my academia, and exploring my sensuality, sexuality. I just started, just asking myself more questions and being open to finding and receiving those answers. And I think through that, that was where I started exploring like dating women and doing that. And that was what was interesting, was when I stopped waiting on something to occur and I started being a participant in my life. Dating and romance was so easy, natural, effortless. Like, I didn't have to like wait and be like, well, I wonder if it's going to be this. Like, I got to actively create the dating and the romance and the type of partner I wanted because I was active in it.
Wow.
um so yeah.
I wonder, I have another thought. I wonder if, we've mentioned both before, the theme of your spirit will lead you or guide you until you're where
Mm-hmm.
you're meant to be. I
Yes.
wonder if that lack of participation in dating men was because your spirit, your subconscious mind kind
Mm.
of knew your heart wasn't in it. That's not who you were wanting to date, who you'd be attracted to. Like, it was kind of maybe going through the motions is what came to mind. And once you
I could
had
see
your
that.
freedom, right, then your spirit was able to come front and center, bring it out of subconscious, and that's where you found the joy in dating, was dating women, which was true to your heart.
Yeah, I love that bridge that you just made, because I would say more than likely, absolutely. Like, when what we
Love it.
talked about in the gender episode, when I was like, oh, I like more feminine men. If I'm gonna have to get a man, I'm gonna have to gay him up. So
Yeah,
then there's also that where I was like, I didn't really find a man that was gay enough
I love it.
for like what I needed.
Oh man.
Like,
I
they were
mean, in the
all they
Christian
were all
community, especially the Southern Baptist community, I feel like you'd be hard pressed to ever
no,
find a more
seriously,
effeminate man.
no, seriously, like, not gonna find any feminine community, and the only ones that I did find were definitely already gay. Um, so yeah, no, that was not gonna happen. But yeah, no, I think but it's so funny because yes, I was not into because I didn't realize that women were an option, or I didn't think they were an option. Yeah, I wasn't interested in dating because all I had to choose from was the things I wasn't really interested in.
Yeah, that's not my
So I was like, I don't
flavor.
need
That's not
that.
my flavor. Not no 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 no.
Yeah, I was like, no. Like, I remember like all the little guys that I entertained or that I liked, and not very few, but it was just like, like, I was like, I remember the first guy that I kissed. I remember being like, why do people like kissing? This is trash.
No.
Like,
Oh
no,
no.
seriously. I was like, this is trash.
I'm dead.
I never want to do this again.
Oh
God,
my god.
so serious. Like, right after it was done, I was like, ugh, definitely
Never
don't
again.
ever want to kiss anybody ever again, right? And that was probably like, I think I had just got out of undergrad. Or I was in undergrad, so maybe that was like 2013 or 20. Well, no, that wasn't the first. No, we were in high school or right after high school. It had to be like right after high school, but because I remember he was like a senior, and I think I was a junior or something like that. But I just did not like it. I was just not into it. And then any guy. I may have kissed like two guys after that, and I felt the same exact way. I was like, ah, you know. So then I was just like, well, maybe it's just because you're not the one. I'm like, you're not the
Right.
one. That's why I don't like kissing you. This makes so much
The
sense. But yes,
justifications, the
right.
delusions come
No,
in
for real, the
clutch.
delusion. The
I
delusion.
mean, it would love. I mean, it would love.
I know, but it's so true. I was like, this is no, this is dumb. And then fast
Yeah.
forward to the during the pandemic, and I kissed this girl, right? Like she was probably like the first girl I like actually went for, and she came for me. And so I was like, all right, I'm not doing nothing, you know. Um,
Love.
and I think when I kissed her, I was like, oh, we can do this forever. We can do this for hours, girl. I'm staying here
Respectfully, of
forever.
course. Right?
Right. I was like, respectfully, we can do this forever. We
Uh,
can do this all day. We definitely did do it all day. And
that's
I was just like, girl,
I love,
you
love.
got me, you know?
When your spirit was free and your heart was honored, the body said, "Oh yes, please, more of
All
this."
right.
Yeah.
It was giving teenage romance. Like it was definitely giving
Love.
out all night, hanging out, kissing in the backseat.
Oh.
Like it was
Oh.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Love it.
10 out of 10 would recommend. So so yeah, so I feel like that I didn't have that exploration with men because yeah, like you were saying, I don't think spiritually I just wasn't into it. And it's so funny because I remember my mom, it was very shady. But
Oh
like when
no,
I was
not the
going
shade.
right, right, the shade, right? When I was going through my self discovery and I just, you know, shaved all my hair off and I was like, no makeup, no nothing. I'm in my masculinity now. I'm trying to find myself. I remember her being like, yeah, well, at one point when you were younger, your one of your aunts said that you were a lesbian. And so I was like, what? Like, and this was before I had even really started engaging with women. This was before I even really had the thought in my mind that maybe that was an option. So I was like, when I was a child, she like lesbian to me. Like, and I was actually very offended because it was just like, I felt like it felt like an attack. It felt like well, the reason why you're doing this is because you're already a like it felt like that. It felt like
Oh,
judgment versus like a
judgment, and also sounds like it maybe might have felt like dismissing the experiences you were going through with your expression and your fashion, your hair, your gender expression. Like
well,
it's just
yeah.
because you're a lesbian.
Yeah, but then even deeper than that, it was like as a child when I'm in elementary school, middle school, high school, and I was literally having crushes on guys and liking certain guys because that's who I believed that I was. It felt like it okay. It felt like she was saying you've been a lesbian all this time and all or hiding or stuff like that. And I was like, well, no, I was
Oh,
being real to myself in the moment. Like that was real for me.
yeah.
So why would you tell me like you were just a lesbian? Like I'm 8 years old hiding being a lesbian. And in my mind, I was like, no, this is just who I am. I'm just expressing myself.
Yeah.
So it just felt like she
Wow.
was slapping a label on me expressing myself before
Mm,
I even let you know who I was. You were telling me who I was before I told you who I was.
wow.
And that's what I didn't like. I was like, how are you gonna what?
Mm,
Like I
yeah,
didn't
I'm
like that.
so
I caught
sorry.
issue.
That yeah, I can't imagine. That would have upset me as well. Like to express it
Yeah.
in that kind of judgmental, like dismissive tone or attitude, because
Yes.
she's also dismissing or maybe not taking into account at all her kind of power over you, because there is a power dynamic between parent and child. And so as a
Right.
child, you weren't pretending to not like girls or something and pretending to have these crushes.
Yes.
That's just genuinely where you were because you were trying to live up to the be the daughter your mom expected you to be.
Yes, exactly.
And then when
Exactly.
you're finally in your freedom and letting go of living up to her expectations, you're living up to Ianthe's expectations and desires. Then
Right.
that's when it all clicked into place. And instead of it being like a, oh well, we kind of suspected and something something, like I don't know, that could have
Right.
been a much more kind and accepting conversation. And hell, that's something that,
Yes.
hot take, she could have even brought it up when you were in high school or something and be like, well honey, maybe guys are just not for you, like just
But that's what I'm saying. And I feel like that's what made
yeah.
me upset because it was like I'm someone where I've navigated different waters solo by
Mm,
myself without any parental
wow.
guidance or instruction, right? So for
Hmm.
you to come in and be like, well, she said that you were a lesbian. It's like I navigated all of this without your help. So for you
Yeah,
to then come back and try to almost be like, oh yeah, well, we already knew and this is,
make a little
as if
snide comment like that.
yeah, as if you were a part
Yucky.
of, as if you had as if you were a part of who I've created for myself today.
Yeah.
That pissed me off.
Mm.
Like for
Like you
real.
don't get to take
That
any
made me
kind of
upset.
credit or anything
Yeah, I was like
because
taking credit, like, oh yeah.
I did this
No,
all by
you didn't.
myself. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And it was and
Yeah.
it kind of was like, as if to say like, "Oh, we already knew that this is what you were going to be." And I was like, if I had still continued to be super feminine, you wouldn't have expected suspected a thing, just like you didn't suspect anything until I decided to look more like I wanted to look. You still would have been very much confused. You still would have been like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, she's looking for a husband."
Hmm.
Y'all would have still been thinking that.
Yeah.
So it was
Mom would
just
have
that.
Your mom would have still been thinking that probably, but what I'm wondering is your aunt kind of being somewhat from the outside looking in, like she's your family, but she's not in your house every day.
Right.
I'm wondering if that conversation between your mom and your aunt was like your aunt saying, hey, I noticed Ianthe this little this and that, and like giving her reasons. And I wonder if she actually likes girl, like just maybe it was a genuine pondering
That's
from
what
your
I'm
aunt, and then your
saying.
mom might have been in denial and been like, no, because she's all girly girl and she acts like a normal girl, quote unquote. But then, like you just
Yeah.
said, the second that you start presenting androgynously or dip masculine or etc., then your mom decides to remember your aunt's words and take them seriously.
Yes. That part. That part. Cause then I wonder, I'm like, well, what was that conversation? When did it happen?
Right.
And then it just kind of was like she don't give no additional information. It's just like that's it.
Mm,
So I'm like, so I'm a
wow.
child and y'all just like in the back streets talking about me?
God, it's giving judgmental. It's giving not
Yes,
real
it's so
family
judgmental.
behavior.
Come on now. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I was like, all right, y'all, this is kind of suspect. I don't really like that. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, well I'm glad I took my time and did it how what felt normal in my natural flow to do this because I couldn't imagine having felt more queer in middle school or high school and then having to live with your parents underneath that pressure of you trying to find yourself. So I feel like I was living with my parent in me exploring my identity, but I was like 27, 28 by then. So I'd already explored living on my own and my own independence. So when I was doing it, it was like, her disapproval didn't affect me because I was like, I don't care.
I
you
already
know?
went down this whole long road without you, Ma.
Right. So at this point I'm like, well, girl, living my life. But yeah, so that was kind of like my dating thing. How we got here. how I got to the
Gotcha.
whole marriage thing, outside of the marriage thing.
I feel like thank you for sharing, and I feel like it's a very your story is a very powerful, um, I would say positive example, if that's okay. Like, if let me
Mm-hmm.
know if you feel the same, but like a positive example of like maybe for a while you weren't aware of what your heart and your soul truly wanted, but
Right.
you're holding yourself back in dating and lack of participation, as you put it, kind of kept you from getting in situations of being hurt or continuing down that path that was wrong for you even further, because of, just you finally got to where you could be true to yourself and be authentic.
Right.
So now if you come across someone that wants to be with you for the rest of your lives, now you are authentically Ianthe, and you know that it's
Right.
going to be genuine and beautiful. Because, like last week's episode, what if you had continued down that road and you had some guy convince you he was your knight in shining armor, like the book, and then you suddenly are married and with kids with him, when you then realize, oh, I am actually a lesbian? Because that has happened to on both sides of the fence. People are
I
in marriage
know.
with kids and then they realize they are not heterosexual.
Yeah. No. Oh, Jesus. Like when you were saying that, I was like, what?
Chills, right? Yeah. Because even though
Yeah.
you had struggles and you had like the way your mom received it, like you just said, was not very loving or pleasant. It was the struggles were as minimal as they could be, not to minimize, but like things could have escalated very quickly, as they say.
Yeah. No, it definitely could have. And that's why I'm just like, I mean, I think every moment of my, the self discovery and, not having like a deeper tie to a guy. But that okay. mm, so that's also a part because I feel like the
Ooh,
reason why I also did not have deeper ties with men is my mother scared me.
oh snap.
Because yeah. So at a young, like a impressionable age, we kind of had like the sex talk, and we were talking about that, and what happens, and just like relationships. And so she was telling me like once have that physical intimacy with a man, like you're going to mesh with him, and it'll be a craving, it'll be something that you're going to want
Oh my god.
constantly. And he once you are bonded with him with your heart, like it's going to be hard to break away from that. And so when she said that, and I would look at my female friends and my aunts and cousins and stuff like that, and saw like the tragedy that would happen when they decided to bond with men, I looked at
Wow.
it as a cautionary tale, and I
Yeah.
said, I don't want that for my life. I'd rather not bond myself physically with a man or allow him to have that much control over me to where my life is in shambles like the rest of y'all lives is in shambles. That's not going to be for me. So that was
Ooh.
also a reason why I didn't get close with men, because I didn't want that to occur to me. And if I had to wait for my knight in shining armor, then I was just going to wait until I knew that that was the right person before I slept with him, because I could not afford to lose myself in the way that I saw them do it. So that was also something else that kept me n- legs closed.
That's very powerful. That's wow.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted what she said. My brain told me this is a no. This is a no.
Yeah. And I feel wow, I feel like it spoke to you on so many levels, because it looking on what you shared, it seems like you really took that to heart, and your soul took notice of that and was like, you know what
Yeah.
though? Mom's got a point. She's being a little like what's the word? fear mongering is what came to mind, but I don't know if that's
Right. No.
the too right. But
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a good one for now.
but your
Yeah.
soul kind of stood up and took notice and was like, no, mom's got a point actually, because you know the implications for a hetero woman being trapped in an unhappy relationship are bad enough and tragic enough, but then if you add in that you're actually at heart a lesbian, that just adds another layer to the
Another
tragedy.
layer to the tragedy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, I felt like I found it to be a little scary. I was like, well, I don't want a guy, and I had gotten into, I like the first guy who wanted to do that. I just remember being like, no, no, I don't think I'm ready for this. And then I remember when I was in grad school, there was another guy, and like he walked me home, and he was like, ah. So I remember we were like making out and stuff, and we were like almost there, and I was like, no. So then he like slept on the couch and he left the next day. Um, I
Keep
was just
those
like,
boundaries firm. I love it. No.
I was
No.
like, no, because I was like, I don't want my experience to be like this with someone I'm not feeling that desire for you. I'm not feeling that desire and that passion that I'm supposed to be feeling with a guy, right? It's supposed to happen. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel it. And I just never felt it. Like I feel like if anything, I'm like aesthetically attracted to men. Like it's aesthetic. Like I can notice when a guy is handsome or he looks good. I'm like, ooh, yes. Like, ooh,
Okay.
ooh, ooh. I'm like, God dang. Like it's aesthetic, right? But then I think with women, it's like aesthetic and romantic. It's like it's both. So when I got in those same type of situations with women, I feel like there was no boundaries. Like, well, I didn't
Yeah.
feel a boundary. I didn't feel like, we can't cross this. If anything, I was like,
Mhm.
I came to cross it, you know? So,
Came across all the lines.
all the lines,
I love
take all
it.
the red tape. Yeah.
I
So,
love it. Wow.
definitely
I feel like
very
it's a
cool.
beautiful example of authenticity and, finding your true self. And now you're presenting and participating in the dating world as the
Right.
true you. So, right. So when you find those connections, like they're going to just be beautiful and strong. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Like, that's what I mean, I've experienced some beautiful connections, like, I've had different women I've dated, and every connection has been beautiful. Like, no matter how it ended, when it was going on, I was like, this is wonderful. This is awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Love that.
So
Yes.
yeah, so I mean, when we lean into like marriage and things like that, I can definitely see myself being proposed to, because I'm a princess. So I can definitely
Princess.
see that occurring. I want a big rock. little
Oh,
little
yes.
emerald,
She
little
wants the
emerald,
emerald with the gold.
little,
Yes, right. I
yep.
remember that.
You know, just a little emerald with the gold. Not too much. Not too much.
Not
Just
too
something,
much, but
something, something slight.
something
Just
special,
something
just like
slight.
you. Yes.
You know?
I love it. So I
For
wanted
sure.
to ask you to share. I think you shared a little bit in the gender episode and also last week, that you mentioned you ethically non-monogamous, like you're more looking for, um, with that commitment, do you imagine yourself being married and monogamous, or like a married polyamorous situation? What are your feelings
That's a
now
very good
towards like
question.
relationship? Thank you. Like relationships and marriage and dating. Where are we now with Ianthe?
Thank you for asking.
Yes.
um, I think, okay. I know I could not see myself poly because I don't want that many people in my house at one time. Um,
Real. So
I'm
real.
like, look, just way too many of you in this house. Can all of y'all go home? Um,
Let's go.
I think poly is like, because I kind of like my relationship to happen just with me in that relationship. I don't really like it to be me, you, and all of us in this relationship. That's like too much for me.
Gotcha.
Um, So I would say I would lean more towards the ethical non-monogamy. I would say that I would want a partnership where we are the base, we are the solid foundation. We've created that solid foundation, but then we leave room for, our extracurricular activities or our other proclivities without judgment or without fear
Oh,
of this thing wrecking, because we are the thing. So we can't wreck the thing because we are the thing. So I
I
would
love
so I would
that.
see it I would see it being like that, where it's like my goal and my intention is not to go out and find someone else, because I'm really enjoying this person, this woman that I'm with. I admire the shit out of her. So
Hmm.
I want that always, constantly. And but I want to have, I want us to have the freedom to, you're not going to get in trouble because you're flirting with somebody or you liked
Mm.
someone. Like, I don't want it to be so rigid in that regard that we're not respecting our own autonomy and our own individuality inside of this relationship. But it's like the goal is not for us to go out and be like, let's find other partners. It's like if the flow happens and someone else just happens to be there and you're like, I was in China and she's looking good,
Yeah.
then that's different. But like,
Right.
I want it to be fluid enough for if that's what's going on or that's how you were feeling or whatever like that. There's an allowance for that without you needing to feel guilty or like somebody's getting
Wow.
cheated on or something like that. Like, I want our bond
Yeah.
to just be like that solid and magnetic, that it's just like I'm going nowhere. Where am I going? Nowhere,
Right.
you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you, woman. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Where am I going?
I
I'm
love
obsessed
that.
with you.
Absolutely nowhere. Yes.
Just
The
nowhere.
obsession. That's what, yes.
Yeah. And like, I want to feel
And
like
you
that. I
know,
want to feel, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, that's, I love it, and I'm over here like cheesing because it's another beautiful expression of authenticity in a relationship. I think that
Yeah.
ethical non-monogamy has gotten a bad rap for being kind of what you said, people going out, with their girls or their boys, and they're looking for someone to maybe hook up with or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you described is an unshakable bond and commitment with your partner and the woman that you're in love with, and
Right.
both of you knowing, being secure in that relationship, knowing that, like you said, where am I going? Nowhere. And knowing that
Yeah.
nothing will change that, including like when life just
Nothing.
lifes and connections connect. And, the
Exactly.
thing, like you said, the cutie lady in China, but at the end of the day, you're flying back home to her. You got her ring on your
At the end of
finger
the
type
day.
thing. Right. It's just so
At the end of the day, I love
authentic
it.
and beautiful, and like I feel like that's so powerful, and I feel like that's the epitome of being authentically yourself in your relationship and having that passion. I love the way you said obsession, like I'm obsessed with you. Like, that's not going to change
Yeah.
because we had some flirtation with somebody else while we're on vacation. Like, I'm
That's what I'm
obsessed with
saying.
you.
Yes, and that's how I feel like that's how I want to feel, because I feel like in my previous relationship, I mean, talking about marriage, like, she was very much like, I want to marry you and I want you to be my wife and things like that. And so I was like, uh y- maybe, like, I wasn't sure, because I was like, I hadn't had anybody want to, you know married. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 12, like,
In my mind, I'm 12.
I'm
I've
like, I'm a
only just started
child.
being myself, right? I'm a child in being
Right, I'm a
myself.
child.
Yeah, I know
Right. I'm like,
exactly
I
what you
just
mean.
started this. Right. I'm like, I
I
just
just
started this
tuned into
journey.
this part of me. Hang on.
I'm like, I feel like I still gotta live
Yeah.
a little bit more before I settle down,
Yeah.
But but she was like really feeling like, we're gonna get married and I would love to do that and things
Oh,
like that. But I remember just being like, okay, but like, I am very much, non-monogamous, and I've always been this way, and we've always known this about myself. And I think that she was trying to be that, but she wanted more to be monogamous, like you and me forever.
Mm.
That's it. Don't smell nobody. Don't look at nobody. Like it's us.
Ah,
That's it. You know,
yeah.
and I'm like, and I'm like, well, I can't really survive like that because that feels restrictive to me. And in deeper, it makes me feel like you don't have trust in our bond enough that you feel like you need to
Yeah.
control what I
Exactly.
do. And that
Hmm.
is like, that's not freedom to me, because then that means you don't trust me, you don't trust this bond. And like the non monogamy and things like that work when trust is the foundation of the relationship. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna go behind your back and do something to harm you because I love you and there's trust built on this. But I don't feel like I feel like I had that for her, because I was like, well, if you feel like you need to, because she was also bi, right? And so it would be kind of
Ah,
funny, because I'm like,
yeah.
well, you feel like you need a little eggplant sometimes. You need to go fulfill that.
Go
I'm
get the
okay with it.
implant. Yeah.
You feel like you just need a
Funny.
little plant, like
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Oh
okay
my
with that. But
god.
then she didn't like that I was okay with that. She was like, absolutely not. No, no.
See, now that's giving like the more toxic obsession, not the romantic, healthy obsession.
Right. And we need
Yeah.
the romantic, healthy obsession. And
Yes.
and I'll say this one little thing, but um yeah, when I was, within that relationship, and it was kind of giving me a precursor to like what marriage would look like if I were to continue to be with this individual.
Yeah.
Because I was living in LA at the time, and when I went back to Houston, just for a little bit to visit family, I ended up meeting this other woman. And there, it was very passionate. There was like, we just kind of like connected, and we were cool, and it was like this friendship slash lovership. And it was just
Wow.
amazing. And I was like, oh, I love this. And I also realized that that type of intimacy was missing from my other relationship. So I
Mm.
think I kind of, um, not, I wouldn't say I was seeking it out. I was saying that I may have been spiritually seeking it. And then when I found it, I was like, oh yeah, I need this. But then also the flip side to that was when I was getting ready to go back home and go back to LA, I was excited to see my partner. So it's kind of giving a little
Oh.
bit of like non-monogamy, like what my ideal situation would have been if the passion and all the romance that I had gotten from the other woman was in my actual relationship. But it's like, yeah, like
Gotcha.
even though, that happened in Houston, it was just like, okay, but my life that I'm building is here with you. So I don't
Mm.
understand why you're obsessed with this Houston situation when I'm building
Right.
you. So yeah.
It makes me, so I have a thought that maybe another like quote that lives rent free in my head. I have a million of those. I don't know, it's how my
Love
brain
it. Give me the
works.
quotes. Give me the quotes.
That people who are dishonest or liars in the extreme, we could say inauthentic, people that are showing up inauthentically are going to look for and suspect inauthenticity in everybody else. So
Got
even though
you.
her heart was in
Okay.
the right place, she liked mostly all of you, but more somewhat an idea, we could say, because she was trying
An
to
idea.
love the non monogamy part of you and participate in that herself. But that, in a sense, was her being inauthentic. That wasn't really her. She was trying to be something she wasn't for the sake of someone else. So by showing up in
Yeah.
that spirit of kind of how did I say it before? Like being dishonest and a little bit being inauthentic.
Yeah.
She had a
Yeah.
subconscious looking out for that in your behavior and wondering if like you really were as committed, but it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. And like the
Mm,
subconscious like psychology that was going on to like she is dishonest, so she looks for it in others.
man, you hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head though. like 1,000%. Everything you just said is exactly the truth. Because throughout time, I
Wow.
yeah, I found all the dishonesty and all the yeah, just I mean
Wow.
upfront by
I'm a
saying that
psychic.
you are, but that was exactly what was happening though. That was exactly what was
Yeah.
happening. Like there was like always something else going on, or yeah, just like the lie is I want monogamy, but I will engage in non-monogamy and then just create this toxic environment because I'm not being authentic.
Wow. And man, wow. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I think that it speaks to like the experiences we talked about last week with having children, your
Yeah,
friend, and that whole situation. Like, it doesn't matter lesbian, gay, hetero. I feel like, again, that's just a powerful example of how if you're in a relationship not being authentically yourself, you're dooming that relationship. And if it's a marriage, God, goddess forbid, you're dooming
yeah.
that marriage. And then, like we discussed last week, if you have
Mm,
kids, you're bringing the kids down with you in the sinking ship. Like, you have to either have those hard talks and sit with the discomfort, like we talk about in many subjects. Like, sit with the discomfort, have the hard talks, and find a way for both of you to be authentically yourself in the relationship, in the marriage, or it's gonna inevitably
right.
fail. The question is just how long is it gonna limp along until it actually fails?
That part. That part. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It goes back to being authentic and like when we like as we've been talking about within the confines of marriage, being authentic is also you finding out what does your authenticity look like. Who are you? It comes through that
Mm,
self exploration, that self discovery. That marriage is supposed to be the ending point of you knowing yourself and finding yourself in two people that have decided like let's
right,
continue to find ourselves together, like it's supposed to be that because then that allows for change, that allows for growth, because I know in a lot of marriages, people are like, oh, so and so changed. They're not the same anymore, as if they were like a
right.
static individual. Like they're going to change, they're going to morph, they're gonna, but that's what I'm saying. When you make that the commitment of marriage is, I'm just committing to doing life with you. That's what I feel like it is. It's just a commitment to doing life with you, however that looks like, however you change, versus the
Wow.
commitment to these roles, these like like you were like
Yeah.
you shared last
The
week about
ideals, the
you're my husband.
ideology.
Yes, like now you're
Yeah.
my husband, so you have to assume this position. Now you're my wife, now you have to assume this position,
Yep.
and it has nothing really to do with like I want to just do life with you. I'm just excited to you know
Yeah.
go on this roller
Experience
coaster
and
with you.
journey. Yes. Yeah, the roller coaster
Yeah,
of life. I love that. And
yeah.
100% agree. And I think that, um, oh my God, my thought just flew right out of my head. Thank you,
Uh-oh.
ADHD brain. What
Come
was it
back.
going to be?
Come
Come
back.
back to me, please.
Trying to snatch you
um,
back.
right. Oh, because when you start going into those roles mindset and you start leaving that inauthenticity, you're also cheapening the love you claim to have for that person, because now, kind of similar to I mentioned and you mentioned before, like being in love with the idea of someone. If you start letting yourself
Yeah.
slip into the ideology, the roles, husband, wife, monogamous, committed partner, like, you
Right.
stop seeing them for who they are, the person that you fell in love with, and instead you're loving halfway an idea of them
Yeah.
and not the
Halfway.
whole true person, right? And so, of course, your marriage or relationship is not going to be true and whole. It's going to have problems and be fractured and not be in
Yeah.
a place of genuine love, but more of the idea, the ideology we talked about, the appearance
Yeah.
of love. And it can start on the wedding day, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, like this is perfect. Like, yes, the appearance of love, which is what marriage and weddings have become. It's an appearance. It's the
Yeah.
aesthetic of love.
Yeah.
It's all
The little
aesthetics.
box to check on your adult card, that you
Yes.
succeeded.
Yes, it's the and then you can even I can we can push that further and say because now there's this thing this rhetoric that we've all been hearing over the years like oh people don't stay in marriages like they used to, people don't stay in relationships like
Yeah.
they used to. Well, majority of those relationships were being held together due to the aesthetic of marriage, the aesthetic of love. They weren't real.
Yeah,
They were just built on
exactly.
aesthetics. Like we gotta stay together for the kids. We gotta stay together because we got married. You
For
know what I'm saying? So that
appearances, yeah.
yeah, it's the aesthetics. Again, it's not built on like, no, I've committed to choosing you all the time and every day. It's like, no, I've committed to this lie of being together. So we gotta continue until we die.
Ooh, that is powerful. That's a very powerful point. Um, and it honestly just sparked a little side thought. Like, I am a big
Mm.
true crime buff. I know that seems way
Mm.
out of left field, but
I am too.
people being so committed. I mean, how many women are not? I think would be a better
We love
question. I
murder.
think
We love murder.
we sure do. We sure do. We love to have all the scenarios cataloged in our minds so we could keep ourselves safe, I think. And like,
No, for
ooh,
real.
and if for people like us that like to analyze behavior of ourselves and others, that's what gets to me is like the psychology of
Yes.
what takes the average person from average person to
Yeah.
murderer. And that
Ever.
was my point. The reason for bringing it up was what you just said about, how did you word it, like being married or dedicated not to the love and to the person but to the appearance, to the
Right.
lie.
To the appearance. Yeah.
Yeah, to the lie was what sparked it for me. Like when people, it's like we've been lying for so long, we've been keeping up this appearance for so long. That is something that is a little common theme I'm sure you've seen in true crime stories, where people have kept up a lie for so long
Yeah.
that when it comes time to where they know they're not going to be able to keep it up anymore, or even more
Yeah.
directly, someone finds out and confronts them, that can drive someone who seems so sane and normal
Yeah.
to murder family members and
Murder.
stuff, right? So that's totally out of left field
That's so
thing, but it's
true.
just, I felt like it was a good example of how, like, it's already doing damage to lives whenever you're putting up appearances and you're more dedicated to the lie and the appearance. Like, it's already affecting people's lives,
Right.
but then
Already.
that's
Already.
the extreme that it can get to, is like people losing their minds and deciding to take a life because they just cannot handle coming into the truth after keeping a lie for so long. Like,
Yeah. That's what it is. That's always what it is, man. And
yeah.
that's like I feel like that's why this discussion is so necessary because
Mhm.
we have to get people to like think about stuff like like
Yeah.
think about marriage is it because I feel like now it's just like an aesthetic word, it's just like an aesthetic thing to
Hmm.
have and aspire to. And I mean even on when I watch reality shows, it's like oh I'm married to so and so, or you're
Yeah.
just the girlfriend but I've got the ring, and I'm just like
Hmm.
it's better to not have the ring because that ring for you symbolizes a prison.
Goddamn.
Whether you want to admit it
Fire.
or not, you
Yeah.
can't get out of that thing.
You can't be
Like,
yourself. You're not able to be
right.
authentic, and you feel like you can't leave. In some cases, you can't.
Yeah, yeah. Someplace you
Wow.
can't leave because a lot of the times marriage is, attached to like, a power imbalance, is attached to a
Hmm.
financial imbalance. So
Yeah.
it's really like a pretty prison that a lot of people get trapped in just for the aesthetics of doing something right instead of the aesthetic of doing something that's right for you. It's like, it's for other people, and I'm
Preach.
I'm very much like them people. For real?
Yes. Yeah, it does not matter. Like, I would rather be I would
That's
rather
crazy.
people be unmarried and happy than married and miserable, right? Like,
Right. And it's the married people that are trying to be single.
and like your example last week of the Real Housewives, the woman on there being like, "Oh, I would love me tall, dark, and handsome," and everybody else like, "Girl, that is not what your husband looks like. Like, it doesn't seem like you're joking. It seems like you really wish you could go out there and find you a tall, dark, and handsome." Like, what?
And and she would. She wishes that she could get that opportunity, which is why she
Yeah.
kept saying it. And then they would call her out on it. And then she's like, no, I'm just joking. Girl. So
Hmm.
only person
But
stopping you
really,
from
that's
getting your
her
point.
soul. Right, but
Mm-hmm.
really, that's her
Yep.
soul and her authenticity trying to escape
Trying to
through little
break
jokes
free.
and little kikis. Yes, but she just keeps washing over it and like, oh no, keep up the appearances. Like,
Yes.
yeah, the pressure that
That part.
society puts on us to have all these boxes checked to what's considered a successful adult, a real adult. It's just so arbitrary, but I think, like you said, it's necessary to have these conversations to help people realize how insidious it can be if you don't look at it for what it really is. Like,
Yeah.
the saying, like, it's not that deep. Well, a lot of things, it is that deep. It goes even deeper than you
Yeah.
could think if you don't stop and
It's deep,
think,
mama.
you know. Yeah. Let's say
I
things are
agree.
not deep when they actually aren't, but this, it's very deep, and like we connected it to the true crime thing. And what's crazy is looking at not only the societal pressure of, like, peers and online, and like you said, this the status of being able to say, oh, I'm the wife, look at the ring, you're just his girlfriend
Right.
still, I've already been wifed, like I'm wife material
Right.
already.
Look at me.
Barf. I feel like social media and the wedding industry, that's like they're aware and they play on it in addition to contributing to that stigma and that whole
Right.
pressure. And that not only the competition to be married and to have the whole
Mm-hmm.
engagement party and your registry and all that, but then the competition of the aesthetics of your wedding and the aesthetics of your
Mm-hmm.
marriage online and on social media, posting those
Oh my God,
vacation
yeah.
pics and date night pics, right? And no one could know, like,
Show it.
y'all could be fighting like cats and dogs every single night after you take that photo immediately, but all that matters is the aesthetic and everything, and the wedding day, and
Yeah.
the industry wanting their money, preying on people's insecurities, and adding to it.
Yeah, because they know that, like we've been saying, wedding, marriage, it's an aesthetic one versus before it was
Hmm.
more like power, structure, legacy ran.
Yeah.
Now it's more capitalistic ran. So
Yes.
it's like um people are buying into a fantasy and not realizing that the reality is not going to look like anything like
No. But building up, like we said in last week's episode, that it's the most important day. That's where they put all the importance and everything. Like,
that.
it's
Hmm.
all about the event and not the marriage itself.
Yeah, because it's I mean that's what it is. The wedding day is an event. I think it
Hmm.
used to be a celebration of two people coming together and starting their I don't even not even a new life together. Really, it's just a continuation of what you've already been doing with titles. But let me stop.
Yeah.
So it's a continuation of what you've already been doing, and you are just celebrating that continuation and marking it in stone to the rest of the tribe or the rest of society that this is what you both have decided to do together. And then once that's done, you continue to be, know, a couple with the marriage title, and now there's a contract. Now there's the splitting of things. Maybe there's a
Yeah.
prenup. Maybe there's not a prenup. So now we're just getting more legal with it. But yeah, we're not buying into the love. We're buying into the aesthetic of that one day, and we're missing the entire point of the next 365 days times however long we both have on this
Yeah,
earth
60
that
plus
really will
years. Yeah.
determine if we're gonna still even honor this thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I
Fire.
don't know. I feel like I've always been like a realist, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what's gonna happen when it don't look good? Because I want to know. I want to know what that's gonna feel
Yeah.
like. Because I know what it looks like when it's sunshine outside. But what happens when it's a stormy day? What happens when I don't like you today and you've pissed me off? What happens then? How are we handling
Right. How do
conflict?
we handle the bad days? Because that's
You
what's a
know,
show of your true, authentic character, going back to authenticity.
come on
How
now.
do you conduct yourself on bad days?
Yeah, and that's not in the engine of marriage and capitalism like you were discussing. It hides it doesn't show that part. It just says this is the pretty part.
Yeah.
Buy into the pretty part.
Hey.
Pinterest.
Hey.
No?
Yeah, Pinterest, exactly. Well, I see that we're at like an hour and five, and I feel like we've covered all the beautiful deep dives that I wanted to cover today. Was there
Okay.
anything else that you wanted to add before we go ahead and stay or sign off and wrap it up?
No, I didn't know if you wanted to dive more into your capitalism part or if you felt like you had touched on that or
I feel like, I didn't want to give any like percentages and make it too technical. Just
Oh,
what I
okay.
said was really what I wanted to cover, that the wedding industry is very aware of everything we've been discussing, the societal pressure, the how easy it is to buy into the aesthetic of the event versus the reality of the marriage. And they just don't care, like so many other industries. Like there might be some people that care, that might speak up if they see tension between the fiancés and try to be like a genuine helper and maybe
Yeah.
say something if they think people aren't meant for each other. But that's very few and far between. We see,
Yeah.
just like
It's
every
not,
other
yeah.
business industry, the disconnect of like, I'm just going to make my money. They're the
That's
ones
it.
having the wedding when they shouldn't. Yeah. And that's, I feel like, of all the industries that needs a desperate infusion of empathy and ethical business practices, I would love to see that happen in the wedding industry because, like I mentioned, you
Yes,
really
sir.
don't see that much you really don't see that much now. It's more like, oh, it's not my business, it's not like I'm trying to make my money, and it's their relationship, it's their marriage, like it's
Yeah.
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 So that's
I
really
mean,
that's all that I wanted to say about that. Was like, they're very aware, and I would love to see that awareness shift to ethical practices and people who are not afraid to speak up and say, the wedding planning is kind of a test for the marriage. If we can't be
yeah.
nice to each other when we're stressed about the wedding, how do you think that's going to work when, like you said last week, we've got bills, we've got, 70-hour
Yeah.
work weeks, maybe kids later. Yeah, so I would
Yeah.
love to see the industry become more ethical and kitties. We went this whole time without the kitties interfering. They had to make an appearance. But yeah, that was really
Yeah.
my own point about that. I didn't want to make it technical, just the ethical part of it, the authenticity,
Ethical.
like we
Yeah.
kept going back to. Yeah,
Ethical, authentic
yeah.
marriages. And I to just jump off of what you just said, just to wrap it, I think when you're talking about the ethical part, I think that's why people try, or some people do try to pursue premarital counseling, and they try to see
Oh
if
yeah.
that is something that they want to go into. But premarital counseling is more normally related to if you're religious in some way, shape, or form, versus
Mm,
it just being like for everybody, like you should get this before you say I do,
wow.
regardless. And so I feel like
Yeah.
when you're talking about ethics, I feel like premarital counseling should definitely just be across the board a thing that should happen before you apply for a marriage license. They should be like, did you complete
Yeah.
your hours first? Just like when
I love
when you
that.
have a driver's license, you have to take a test
Yeah.
to even get. So you should have to do the same thing before you get your marriage certificate that you've passed.
I love that. I feel wow, I never thought about it that
That'd be
way.
lit.
Like I am one of those people that always thought of premarital counseling as a more religious, like you're going to go to your pastor
Mm-hmm.
and do that with your fiance. But I 100% agree. Like what an incredible point that it should be in everything, an everybody
Yeah.
thing. Sorry. And maybe to not be required because I get iffy about things being legal. I wish the government would make less laws about everything, but like to
Well,
make it
that's real.
available, make it
Separation.
encouraged. Yeah, like just make it like,
Yeah, it can be optional. It can definitely be
yeah,
optional.
because you think about this
Yeah.
might be a weird connection, but my brain loves to
Hmm.
make abstract connections. But I think about it's mandatory to have um, psychiatric consulting and evaluating for people that are trans before they're allowed to begin.
Oh,
I hate
true.
having to say that aloud, but right before they can have their hormone therapy or even further down the road, their surgeries, I think they have to even go through more counseling. So it's just I feel
I
like that's
agree.
admirable because it's a life-changing thing, but on the
It
subject of marriage
is.
we keep coming back to it is a life-changing thing. So why wouldn't it be
Yes.
similar, like maybe not such an extreme, but some level of like, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure you
Yes.
understand the reality, not just the fantasy? I love that. Was an amazing point. Wow.
Yes. Yes. Make sure you understand the
Look
reality
at
and not just the fantasy. I mean,
yes.
listen, if you want to open up a business, a little practice for these married folk that are, or those who are soon to be married, if you're watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, I do need counsel. Well, you have it, you heard it here first. You have it right here in front of
Yes.
you. I feel
Yes.
we've been giving counsel this entire time. Like
Yes.
this was not just a random recording. We've been literally giving premarital counseling and
We
pre
are here to expand your ideas.
yes, we've been giving life, authenticity counseling.
Yes.
Like
Exactly. I
listen,
love it.
we did what we were asking for. We've done it. We're doing it. So
And we're here doing it every week. And
every
like
week.
the
Every
the
week.
Onyx archive has more in depth about, and many more videos will come about being authentically yourself. I
Period.
have a special interest in psychology and mental health, which of course is integral to knowing yourself. So really, we're your
Yes.
aunties for the advice you need that you maybe didn't know you needed.
Aunties for the advice. Oh, aunties for the
Yes.
advice.
But we're
Oh,
going
I
to tell
like
you how
that.
it is because bad bitches cannot be too nice.
I like that. Okay, we might have to this
The
might have
aunties
to
of
be like,
advice.
yeah, this might have to be what this episode is called. And then we'll just put marriage or
Oh
something
my
because
God.
I'm
I
saying
would
it's
love
doing
that.
something different. This episode just did something
Yeah.
different.
Oh
So,
man. You know what?
what
I
is it?
had the thought of like when we have the subscribers to be able to have live sessions where people participate and we could give real time advice, like for
Oh
real.
my
I'm
God, that'd
I'm
be
always down
so
for that.
chef's kiss. Yes. Because then we can call it
Mwah.
aunties. What did you call it? Aunties with advice or
Aunties of advice. Or yeah,
aunties
aunties with
of
advice. Yeah.
advice. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Oh.
And it's
Oh.
alliteration. I am a slut for alliteration and like wordplay.
Oh. Oh,
The aunties of
that
advice.
the aunties of uh, I'm gagged. First of
We
all,
just did something. We just did
we
something.
really did because I like that. Like this thumbnail, I want to
Yay! Oh my god, I love
because
it.
that's a
I'm
thing.
cheesing. Am I blushing? Oh my god.
You should be blushing because that's. Let me write this down. Hold on, y'all.
Stop. She said, let me write
Because
it down.
let me write this down. We can't forget this. This was a genius moment. Because first of all, that's a
I
podcast.
love it.
That is everything.
Right. I see the brand
Oh my
now. I
god.
see it all laid out.
Do you? I'm saying I can see it. Oh my
The
gosh.
Aunties of
Okay.
Advice. The Aunties of Advice. Okay.
I'm obsessed.
Well, I.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I got excited. All right. All right. Okay. All right.
Uh, all right. Okay. All right. Okay. I love how
Okay.
we're both
Okay.
just squealing and making noises of excitement. It's making my echolalia brain so happy. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
No, for real. You like because it's giving that. I'm
I feel like
gagged.
I feel like we might have taken an episode or two to get into our flow, but that
We
just came to me
did.
because that really is us. Like we're just here
That
wanting to help people think
is
bigger, expand, know themselves deeper, know the world deeper because knowledge is power, all the things.
like period. Period. And like my thing is like walk in power, speak with purpose, move with intention, living your truth. Like we're yes, it's aunties of advice. Like that's what that is. Oh my god. Oh my god. We
I
started
love.
something.
We're gonna have to make this a series for sure. Like make it the
No, for
podcast, make it
real.
everything.
No, for real. Because this
I love.
this is giving episode one aunties of advice.
I love. Oh my god. I
I'm
love us. We're
yay! Oh my
amazing. Let
god.
me just be narcissistic for a moment.
No,
I
for
fucking love
real. Because
us.
no, for real. Because now our next meeting is gonna have to be about. Okay, so what are we gonna talk about? In aunties of
All
advice.
about, yes, flush that all out. Yes. Oh my god, I love it.
I'm. Oh my god, it's gonna be good. You know what? Because I still really do want us to go. Now we're just getting off script, but we'll edit it. We'll cut it out. But um, I'm thinking about. I really do want us to try this Aunties of Advice on a TikTok live and be just because it would go
Oh my god,
crazy, dude.
yes.
It would go
Yes.
crazy. They would love.
That's
They
a
would
great
love
idea.
that. I swear it would go crazy because I've been
Yes.
waiting for because I know we had talked about it in the past, but like
Now
I
that
feel
we
like
found our
we were waiting
flow
for
of the,
what was it? Yeah, like what was it? And I feel like we have
we
crossed
just
its
found
path.
it. The Aunties of
Yeah.
Advice on TikTok. Oh my
Ah!
god, stop. I'm so excited.
Oh
Okay,
my
well,
god.
I didn't mean to be so abrupt with my like diving into wrapping it up. It's just that
No, no,
I
you did
apparently
great.
drank too much water before we started and I am needing to use the bathroom.
No,
I'm
you did
sorry.
perfect. No, you did
Okay.
perfect. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Like let the flow take you. Don't worry about it.
Yay. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Okay.
Well, that concludes today's live session. Thank you to everyone who's going to watch the re-uploads. Be on the lookout
Yes.
for Aunties of Advice on TikTok live, where you can
Be on the
join in
lookout.
and get advice on your issues in real time. We can talk directly
Period.
to you because your aunties have got you.
Yeah, aunties got you. Aunties of advice.
Yes,
All
the
right.
aunties.
Until next
So
time.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you to the Onyx Archive. Thank you, Ianthe. I hope that this discussion challenged your ideas, expanded your perspectives, and deepened your understanding of the world because knowledge is power. If you're
Period.
interested in a place where intellect meets creativity, check out my lifestyle channel, Alexandria the Artisan. And thank you again, Ianthe. I'm so excited for everything we're going to do and for next
Yes.
week's episode.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna kill it. You said it all. And all I will say is this: walk with power, speak with purpose, move with intention, and until next time, walk in your truth.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
y'all.